The superstar comic creative team of Chip Zdarsky and Valerio Schiti are about to usher in a brand new era for the Star-Spangled Man. One that promises to change the hero forever. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Captain America issue number 1 and find what happens next together, shall we? So then, this brand new issue wastes absolutely no time getting started and leads off with one hell of a gut punch. We're introduced to a brand new character by the name of David Colton on what might very well be the most transformative day of his life, the day that he looked up at the New York skyline one day in September, only to see the second tower falling. And if that's not a massive declaration of creative intent by this brand new creative team, then what happens next certainly is. You see, we check on in with Steve Rogers not long after he got thawed out of the ice. Only, here's the thing, as we learn via the conversations in this coffee shop, Marvel's sliding timescale has been moved up once again, meaning that now Steve Rogers finds himself out of the ice in the 2000s, post 9/11 and during the events of the War on Terror. That's a pretty seismic shift, and I can only imagine that Zdarsky and company are going to have a lot of material to wring out of this cultural moment in American history. Now, Cap might be fairly new on the scene again, but once a hero, always a hero. He hears word of a cop getting shot and their motorcycle getting stolen, and as such, he springs into action. Apparently, this guy is threatening to blow up the UN building, and because Captain America is indeed so new, he didn't even know that A, there was a UN, or B, where it is. Cap gives chase on his motorcycle, and I do kind of love the fact that no matter what changes with Steve Rogers, he always has been a motorcycle guy, hasn't he? Steve clocks right away that the guy he's chasing is well trained, not just anyone can drive and shoot at the same time with that level of accuracy. Eventually, we discover this guy isn't some regular run-of-the-mill terrorist, quite the opposite. He's a messed up vet who just returned from the Gulf and is suffering with a veritable boatload of PTSD following the deaths of his entire unit. The way he puts it, all of his friends suffered and died and the whole world just moved on like nothing was happening. Steve relates to this guy vet to vet, and in doing so ultimately gets him to stand down. Though, just to be safe, Iron Man also intervenes and uses his tech powers to turn the guy's bomb off remotely. I also dig that Iron Man is wearing a retro costume too, so we know this is the past. In their post-crisis conversation, we learn that it was once again the Avengers who got Captain America out of the ice and de-thawed him. They attempted to recruit him to their cause, but Steve turned them down. The way he puts it, he's still part of a team, the United States military, and as far as he's concerned, the war ended a week ago. And now Cap wants nothing more than to return to his old life like nothing ever changed. Fat chance of that happening, am I right? Steve presents himself at the Pentagon, a building that did not exist before he was frozen. The military brass put Steve through his paces to figure out that, yeah, this guy is 100% who he says he is, the Erskine super soldier in the flesh. Though there are those like Thunderbolt Ross who question why Steve even came back at all. I mean, hey, he's forever young and damn near invincible. He could go anywhere he wanted and live a whole new life. Why is the military so important to him? And as Steve explains, the army is all he has left. His parents died before he enlisted, Bucky died on that mission as far as he knows, and all his other war buddies are long dead. The army is basically the only family Steve can call his own. And hey, speaking of the army, and it's after that we check back on in with David Colton. It seems that despite being a sickly kid himself, not unlike Steve when he enlisted, he was either just tenacious enough or had the help of an unseen benefactor to get enlisted. Basic training was hell though, all the other kids bullied him unmercifully, believing that his weakness might be a detriment that gets them all killed in the field one day. Even his mother was deeply anti-war and felt that her kid only joined out of a sense of revenge, no, not just for 9/11, but also for a brother who was apparently killed in Kuwait. Still, despite all the opposition, the kid showed heart, grit, and determination and hung in there against all odds. Now back over with Steve, he gets his first brand new mission courtesy of Thunderbolt Ross. Apparently there is a supervillain turned upstart dictator by the name of Victor Von Doom, whose ongoing battles with the Fantastic Four have officially become the purview of the American government. Steve is going to be sent behind enemy lines to deal with this threat, but before he does, he figures he might as well get the skinny on Victor from the experts, mainly Reed Richards himself. Mr. Fantastic talks about knowing Victor in school, the accident that scarred his face, etc., etc. Steve says that as far far as he knows, just a week ago he was battling Hitler, and now Thunderbolt Ross is telling him that Dr. Doom might very well become a Hitler for a new generation. Mr. Fantastic, of course, has a very different read on Doom, saying unlike Hitler, Dr. Doom doesn't hate one singular group of people. If anything, he hates himself more than anyone. Hates himself for not being able to save his parents, hates himself that despite his amazing abilities, he always seems to keep coming up short. Steve also has some interesting insight into Doom's character as well, saying he knows full well what it's like to don a mantle to become the Mask. And in that way, he actually pities Doom. Though whether Steve likes it or not, his legend as Captain America has only grown during his absence. In fact, as we learn from Reed himself, apparently his father was actually a huge Cap fan. So much to the point Reed has actually been carrying around a little Cap figure all these years. Steve thinks it's kinda cool, but he wonders if Bucky got a figure too. It's right around here too, Steve has to reckon with the idea that since he's been frozen, a lot of different people have gone out of their way to lionize him in his struggles. Every letter he wrote home, every piece of information has become a part of American history now. He's become a legend. And in truth, he's not 100% sure how he should feel about it. Should he lean in? Should he try and be this version of himself that everyone already has in their mind, or is that just unrealistic? After all, there's no telling how far the legend of Captain America could go, and in fact, smash cut to David Colton in the hospital, where we can see he's actually been reading Captain America's autobiography, no doubt seeing a lot of himself in Steve's early struggles. Why is Davey in the hospital? Well, his commanding officer decided to beat the crap out of him this time instead of the bullies, in hopes he might finally quit and go home. It's here that mystery benefactor shows up once again, claiming that he can cure David's asthma, and in doing so make him every bit the soldier his grit and determination would imply he could become. But more on that in a minute. From there, we once again return to Cap, who has donned a brand new costume, befitting his extra governmental role. Yes, the laws say that heroes cannot intervene on behalf of nations, but because Cap was already a soldier, they're making a legal exemption for him. I like the new suit too. It's evocative of the classic Captain America look, but it's also clearly very much a prototype. Now, Steve won't be undertaking this mission behind enemy lines in Latveria alone. He has a whole team backing him up, but not just any team, a brand new version of the Howling Commandos. We meet two of them right away. One's name is Chill, and he's actually a pretty big fan of Cap and is starstruck by his presence. The other one is named Slate, and she feels that this guy is a fossil of a bygone age who just don't got it no more. Oh, but here's the thing though, this is actually a 4-person operation, and the last member of the team has yet to arrive. But who could it possibly be? Well, as the comic comes to a close, we see it's none other than David Colton. Turns out that procedure worked. He became a soldier, and we actually see him in Iraq during the fall of Saddam, sporting a Cap shield all his own. But to find out more about that, we'll have to check on in with the next issue, won't we? And so that was Captain America issue number 1, everybody, and I gotta say, I had a feeling I was gonna like this issue, but I had no idea just how much until I actually got to the end. I don't think any character has benefited from Marvel's sliding time scale more than Captain America. The longer we actually get away from World War II, the more fascinating his story becomes, and to see him unthawed in the 2000s at the height of the War on Terror is just ripe with so much amazing storytelling potential. What we're basically getting here is a brand new origin for Captain America, one that keeps all the stuff that worked and also adds so many cool new flares and ideas. In fact, if this first issue reminds me of anything, it's actually Zdarsky's other big great modern superhero origin story in Batman the Knight. That was one of my favorite books the year it came out, and I get the feeling this Cap book might just end up being the same. All of that on its own is great, but then you add the extra dimension of this David Colton character. We've seen dark mirrors to Captain America in the past, but this one manages to feel fresh and interesting in ways I really wasn't expecting. It probably helps that with hindsight, we know that the whole War on Terror era of American foreign policy that birthed this kid is ultimately going to end up to be really, really sad and disappointing and disheartening in a way that's still kind of rocking American culture to this very day. And to have that juxtaposed with Steve Rogers' Greatest Generation, golden age of superhero stuff, well, I just can't wait to see it all happen. Overall, I would give this one a very well-deserved 9 out of 10. This has really jumped to the top of my pull list, and I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.